welcome back to Family Home Evening.
With Bad Mormons. Praise Moloch.
Praise Moloch, indeed. Now, I forget, where does that come from?
You mean our pagan Lord and Savior?
Yes.
It's that guy, Republican radio host guy who was so bummed when he learned Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity had to get the vaccine, and they were lying to him.
I just read a thing that said that Fox News just released a thing that for those who have decided to not get the vaccine, they have to get tested daily to be able to enter the workspace.
Good.
No, I think it's amazing. I just love that they're hypocrites. It's amazing.
Good times.
To me.
Hey, cheers.
Hey, cheers.
Yummy.
I love that Predator.
Very happy that we got some of that back in the house.
Yes, I went on a Costco run.
Delightful.
So yeah, for those who like a smoky, rich wine, there is a Zinfandel, Old Vine Zinfandel. I don't know if that's something different than just Zinfandel, but it's called Predator. It's got a ladybug on the front, and it's freaking delightful.
It means the vines are old.
Oh, Old Vine Zinfandel from Lodi.
Hey, patrons, what are you guys drinking tonight? Or this afternoon, or this morning?
Whenever you feel like listening to this.
We're betting that you're drinking something fantastic.
Beer.
Possibly coffee. Maybe.
With Bailey's and Kahlua in it. I know I would be.
We love you guys so much. Thanks for supporting our show.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
You're fucking fantastic.
Most awesome. You're the reason we keep doing this. Keep doing it. Don't stop. Just kidding. Thanks. So let's move on over to Mormon Corner, shall we?
Let's do it.
So for this week, I'm going to go to the book of The Miracle of Forgiveness. Now, I don't quite know what this book is about. I've been trying to piece it together. They have a lot of chapters. Like, I'm trying to find a chapter guide here.
From what I remember, it was trying to say that people who were gay was the same as bestiality.
Right.
I remember that was
and masturbation was bad.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So, I mean, just for instance, the contents of this book, the chapters are: no unclean thing can enter. That sounds fascinating. None righteous. No, not one. Blah. These things doth the Lord hate. Okay.
That could be fun.
That could be fun. The sin next to murder. I bet it's homosexuality.
I hope it's being gay.
Crime against nature. I remember that one. That's page 77, and that's the whole masturbating one. Sins of omission. As a man thinketh, which I tried to read that one because I was like, oh, what is this? It is pretty much just telling you have a positive mindset. And I'm like, well, that's great.
That's good advice.
That's good advice, but
Skip that.
Stupid. Point of no return. Repent or perish. That's what I'll be covering this week. Mm-hmm. God will forgive and the church will forgive. There's a lot of forgiving chapters that I'm not going to read today. So repent or perish, Mandy. You choose. Except ye repent, ye shall likewise perish. Luke 13:3.
You're already losing me. If there's too many ye's and thous, I just shut down.
I really wanted to read the Bible. I thought it would be kind of fun. Not the Book of Mormon. I wanted to read the Bible proper because I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be fight scenes and murdering babies.
Because you watch
and the devil.
You watch that Moses show every Easter. You thought it's going to be like that, right?
Craig makes me watch the Ten Commandments.
The
Moses movie. I borrowed a Bible from my friend's parents. I was like, hey, can I borrow this? They're like, yeah, sure, whatever. I tried. I got a paragraph in before I said, fuck this. Mm-hmm. Then I was like, well, maybe I just need to get past him creating the earth part. Then it'll get interesting. Flip head a few pages. I'm like, can I get this in English?
There is a King James version.
But still, it's still going to be wicked boring, right?
Yes.
What they need to do is a Game of Thrones version of it. But I feel things will get lost in translation. Not that it hasn't already been translated 1,500 times from a dead language. But sure, you know what it meant. You know what he really meant.
Because you feel it.
And also, does it happen to push my narrative as a man who needs power? Sure. But that's not why I'm saying this happened this way. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say, I was like, I don't even know if this is that interesting. I did try to read it. It was just saying, repentance is the key to forgiveness, and this is a book about forgiveness. It opens the door to happiness and peace, and points the way to salvation in the kingdom of God.
What are we forgiving for?
Well, let's say I decided to steal, and then I repent about it.
But is it going to outline the things that are bad? Because that's really what I want to hear.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love for that. But it's a lot of words. No bullet points.
Skip ahead.
So, I mean, like, the devil reigns. Sin is rampant in political, religious, and social circles. Evil is called good, and good evil. That sounds like the people of today. They've all lost their fucking mind. Let us eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we may die. Sounds like Mandy should put that on a shirt.
That's how I've been living my life.
Has been the theme song for the worldly wise since time began. Let's live it up is more modern interpretation. It means have fun today and let tomorrow take care of itself. I don't see the problem here.
I don't either. Sounds great. Like great advice.
Right? Well, exquisite will be the punishment. I skipped, so. And the longer repentance is pushed into the background, the more exquisite will be the punishment when it finally comes forth. It doesn't say forth, it just says F-O-R-E, for.
For?
Comes forth.
Now
comes
that's
to the
an idea
fore.
for a t-shirt.
The
Exquisite punishment is imminent.
Ooh, yes. Well, then that was worth me just passing through these pages. But yeah, pretty much what it's saying is you need to repent for your sins or you're going to hell.
Hey, I looked up some cool shit to tell you.
Oh, yeah?
Are you excited about it?
I'm pretty excited.
Because I got some good stuff this week. First of all, I wanted to make a little note, a touch on the California governor gubernatorial recall election.
That was pretty rad.
Which we've been talking about it coming up. Basically, I didn't know too much about a recall election because there haven't been that many. But from what I understand, a recall is able to be imposed on an elected official. It might just be a governor, but it might be a lot of different elected officials if they're breaking a law and you get enough civilian signatures to basically put it on a ballot, right? So that's what happened in California. Our Governor Newsom, who's a Democratic governor, it's actually really kind of fucked up what he did. What he did was not great. These people are all pissed off because
businesses have been closed.
Yes, there's a shutdown, a lockdown. Everybody stays home. There's a mask mandate. You can't go out. So trying to battle this virus, and then people are pissed off about it. So they're trying to collect signatures all over the state to get him recalled, because this recall did work back in 2003. Arnold Schwarzenegger was appointed governor in Gray Davis, I think, was recalled.
Brown.
Was it Jerry Brown?
Jerry Brown.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's because, and the illegal thing I think that he had done was like he was talking in private, which you're not supposed to do about something like that to do campaign. They reference it a lot during our city council meetings, like the Brown Act, blah blah blah, or whatever. Like I could be completely off base on that, but yeah. Right. And the only reason Arnold Schwarzenegger, a Republican governor, got voted in is because he was the world's biggest movie star at the time. So of course he got voted in.
And fairly moderate.
Okay, I'll give him. I mean, he's pretty Republican, but he's not anti-abortion.
He's a moderate.
He's a moderate. He's a normal person.
Well, so fast forward to our recall election. So the only thing that he did, which I don't think was illegal, it was certainly fucked up. Like people are pissed off about the mandates. People are pissed off about the shutdowns. But so they're in the midst of them gathering all these signatures, and the signatures have been being gathered for months and months and months. So we're in the middle of a lockdown, and then he is spotted. Somebody takes a picture of him having dinner at French Laundry with no mask on, with a large group of people, 10 people or something at a table, right? And so that just he's violating his own mandate,
right?
And so that just fucking blew.
And to be fair, it was fucked up.
Yeah, it was
people have the right
really
to be pissed
stupid.
about it.
It was really stupid.
Not only that, but you're at French Laundry, which is probably one of the most expensive, ridiculous. We're gonna go because it sounds fucking awesome. But
Michelin star.
Yeah, but it's just so you're bougie as shit, and
you're above your own
you're
rule.
above your own rules, right? And Pelosi too, she did the same thing. She went and got her hair done when salons were mandated to be shut down.
Right.
So it's like, oh, I get it, and I understand how fucked up that is, and it's not right, but is it worth fucking having an entire recall for? Especially, we have an election in 8 months.
Right. The actual election is
for
right
our
around
governor,
the corner.
right? Like, so we spent $300 million. How many kids could that have fed?
Oh
The
my
infrastructure. God. How could the roads could have gotten fixed? $300 million, all because people couldn't wait 8 months. I just think it's so fucking ridiculous. And Republicans are supposed to be the party of being fiscally responsible. That's not fucking fiscally responsible.
Right. Well, and only so as of now, that recall took place on Tuesday, so a couple days ago, 2 days ago. And as of now, only 78% of the votes have been counted. Usually it can take up to 30 days after to tally up all the votes.
Right.
But as it stands right now, 63.7% of the population in California was in favor of keeping him as the governor, where 36.3% were in favor of removing him. Right. So that's a huge landslide victory.
Right, absolutely.
Victory, I'm saying that in quotes for him. But it also goes to show how many Republicans voted to keep him in office for the next 8 months until there's another election.
Well, I mean, we're a pretty democratic state anyways, but at the end of the day, not only, I wouldn't even voice it as 76 people wanted to keep him. 76% of the people didn't want Larry Elder to be governor. This is some conservative radio talk show hack.
Well, I was going to get to that, why it would be him, unless you want to say it.
No, I didn't know who. I knew, like, Caitlyn Jenner had run, but they got, like, 4. Everybody else had really low percentage. I don't know why they chose him to be the person that they were going to focus on, because he's a horrible candidate, especially with the whole shit that just happened in Texas with them trying to repeal women's rights, like, and he's all for that. I'm sorry, I don't care how Republican you are in California. Well, I mean, there are some, but even as Republicans, you're going to be like, oh, hell no. Like, I'm not going to take away the rights of other people.
Right. Well, and so the way that this works is if you recall the governor, I don't know what the criteria are. I don't think there are any criteria. Obviously, if Caitlyn Jenner can just be like, I'm going to be on the ballot.
I think you just have to have enough votes to get on a ballot, kind of a thing.
I don't even know if you do. Because if you look at that ballot, if you read that ballot, well, I'm sure you did. We all filled out our ballots.
I mean, I filled it out. I don't know if I read it.
Yeah, but if you look at the back of it, there's 30 some odd replacement candidates to fill the seat until the next election. And so the fucked up part about this is, like, there's no vetting any of these people. There's no campaign. Well, there's mild campaigning, like, right before the election, but there's no, you don't need any qualifications or credentials. You could just put fucking Caitlyn Jenner on the ballot, and that Caitlyn Jenner could potentially become the governor just because enough people were pissed off at Gavin Newsom.
Right,
you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like, it's the same idea as, splitting the party.
Right.
It was a great example and a life lesson for me back in the day. It was George Bush election when I voted for Nader, and enough people voted for Nader that it got the Republican vote. Right? And I was like, oh.
God, you know where we'd be at if fucking Gore had won? Like, I want to live in that universe when Gore won, because we wouldn't have had George Bush, so the Iraq War might not have happened. They might have figured the whole 9/11 could not have happened, maybe wouldn't have happened, because, I mean, it's argued that Bush had that intelligence and didn't act on it. But more so, like, again, climate change would be totally different. As much as I hate Trump and I hate what's happened to all these radical thinking people who, like, they're, like, super, super patriots, right? Is that none of them would, not none of them, a majority of them wouldn't be around if there was never the Tea Party. And it just dawned on me the other day. I was like, the fucking Tea Party is the one who started this shit. Trump could have never been president without the fucking Tea Party, because they just went, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Tea Party was just fucking insane. Oh God, they don't call them that anymore. I don't know what they call them. Like, now we call them, like, QAnon type people, but they're all one and the same.
Right. Well, back to the ballot.
Right.
So, you have 30 different candidates on there, and if everybody's voting and you're just, there's no, normally, like, you look for your endorsements for your candidates and try to figure out what, when you're doing a normal vote, who you want to vote for. Here it's just fucking random happenstance, unless you were to go and, like, try to find something online. There's no official process for it. So it's what the Democrats were suggesting to do is just vote no and don't put anything else there.
Right.
Because if for some reason the election had gone to, or the vote had been no, they're saying we don't want Gavin Newsom in office anymore, then it's basically whoever has the majority of those 30 some odd candidates.
Right.
Which is, that's where it gets into Larry Elder.
Right.
So he was the front runner of all those nobodies. He was the front nobody of the nobodies who would have just slid into the place just by default.
Well, so when I was talking to our friend Anne about that, and she's like, I can't, because I was like, so the thing is, we're supposed to vote no, not yes, because yes would be to recall him. So we're supposed to vote no, but we're not supposed to check any of the boxes. She's like, that's what they say, but let's say it happens. I think I should have some say of which one of these morons is going to get into office. So I could see both sides of that.
Fair enough.
I didn't vote for anybody. I just put no. So
right. Well, and I thought it was interesting too. There's been a lot of this on the internet about this election, because California is a big, big economy. It's like the 5th largest economy in the world or some shit like that. Wow. It's crazy. But there's people keep posting this heat map.
I've seen that.
Have you seen this? Yep. I'm showing Charlotte a picture right now. It's basically a heat map of who voted for, who voted yes, who voted no. Voted no versus a COVID heat map, a current COVID heat map of California, and it's like every single part of County, California that voted yes to recall the governor has the highest, by far, double, triple, quadruple the amounts of COVID than the rest of the state, which voted to keep Gavin Newsom in office. Right. It's crazy how it's, like, identical.
It's pretty well identical. And it's also, I was in one of the Facebook groups arguing with people, and someone said, what kind of loser loses a Republican throwover in San Bernardino or, like, Riverside County? That shit doesn't make any sense.
Well, and, there's been a lot of talk around this as well, but a lot of people are saying that Larry Elder was actually the best thing that ever happened to Gavin Newsom.
100%.
Because if 63%, with only having 75% of the votes in, if 63% voted to keep him in, anyone with a brain would have had to see that he's a better choice than this fucking
dumbass.
Guy who wants to get rid of minimum wage. The guy who thinks that slave owners should get reparations. This is a black man, too, by the way. I think slave owners should get reparations.
What?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I didn't. I stopped reading at that point. I was like, fuck you. Right. This is not even worth my brain power.
Right.
But yeah. So that's been happening. That's
trying to take away the rights of women's reproductive rights. Yep. He wants to be right there with fucking Texas. What a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's awful. I had another thing that I was going to talk to you about cool shit too, but it turns out it's not cool. But I should tell you anyway, because I was reading that, that, I think you pronounce it ivermectin. It's a family of anti-parasitic treatments that people have been taking for COVID. It's like the QAnon people are like, this is the new hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, exactly.
This new ivermectin is the new thing that's going to cure COVID. I won't get a fucking vaccine, but I will take an anti-parasitic that's, largely used. They're buying it from veterinary supplies or animal supply stores because they use it as a horse dewormer. Right. And it actually does have human applications. It's in that family that's the active ingredient in like scabies medication and head lice medication. It's like hardcore shit.
Yeah, that's a topical thing mainly too. So why are you ingesting that shit?
Yeah, and I'm sure there is a human preparation that probably if you have some kind of like, you pick up some kind of bug in, I don't know, India or something, I don't know. So it does have human uses. The stuff that these people are buying is not for humans, it's for horses. Right. And there was all these memes going around saying that, hey, fun fact, this ivermectin causes sterility in men. 95% sterility in men. And everyone's just laughing and rolling. And so I was like, oh, this will be so fun to say on the podcast. And I looked it up. Turns out that's not actually true. It's not that it's not true, but it's based on a very flawed study, apparently.
So, it could have maybe not 90%, maybe 80%. But either way, those bitches to be sterile would be amazing.
It would be funny, and it would be such karmic retribution.
It would be like idiocracy in reverse. Mm-hmm.
That's what we need.
Reverse idiocracy. Yeah. That would be amazing.
Anyways, now we're all on the same page.
I have one thought just as I was going through Twitter and seeing, and we know this, but I just think it needs to be said out loud, is like, those who are deciding to not get the fucking vaccine for whatever fucking reason, I don't really care. Unless you medically can't take it because you have allergies or whatever. The hospitals are getting overrun again. So it's not so much of like, oh, you know, I've got a really good immune system, I'll be fine, until you find out you have an underlying health condition that you didn't realize you had. Like, you think you're totally healthy, then you get COVID and you realize that you actually have a heart murmur or some shit like that, and you didn't realize it because you don't go to doctors, as most of us don't do because our insurance sucks and it costs us a bunch of money. But then if you do want to go to the hospital for something completely unrelated to COVID, there's no hospital bed for you. There was a news story about this kid who went to a COVID-packed ER because he had appendicitis and his appendix burst because they couldn't get to him for 12 hours. And when the dad was asking, like, why is this taking so long? My son is in pain. He needs help. And she just walked by and just said COVID. So it's just like, you're not just fucking yourself. Because to me, I'm vaccinated. I could care less if you unvaccinated people don't want to get taken care of, you know, or don't want to get your thing. But don't sit there and tax our hospitals, because stay home. Figure it out.
It's fucked up.
Because then people who you know need medical care can't get it because you're overrunning it. And I've seen people in like in Facebook groups or whatever just saying, I think it's ridiculous that there's healthcare workers saying that, you know, if I get sick with COVID and I don't have a vaccine, they're not going to, like, I don't know how to word it, but it's not take it as seriously. They're not going to get to me as quickly as they would if I did have a vaccination. And that's horrible. But the truth of the matter is, it makes sense. If you're being overrun, I would rather help the people who tried to help themselves first. And then I would go to the people who is not COVID related at all, but have appendicitis or something. And then I'll get to you if I have time. Mm-hmm. Because you should have gotten the fucking shot.
Right.
Anyways, that's my opinion on that.
Hey, do you want to know what I saw on Twitter?
What?
You probably already heard about this. I just blinked at it. I hardly paid it any attention because I am trying not to care anymore. But it was 9/11 the other day, and, you know, everybody's solemn and remembering and thinking about what happened, and pretty sad, and it's not a great memory, right? And Donald Trump Jr. and his father, number 45, decided that they're going to host and live commentate on this pay-per-view boxing event, a fight, which is really fucking tacky.
Poor taste. But, I mean,
so tacky.
King of poor taste.
True. Fair enough.
He's at least consistent.
So, you know, everybody's kind of like laughing about it afterwards. You know, things are popping up on the internet like, oh, you know, normally these things get like 1.6 million views pay-per-view, you know, and this one got like less than 150,000. Like, it's just really a really poor turnout.
Probably not for Trump, but just in general.
Just in general. Just the one that he happened to be hosting. I mean, I don't know how many people want to be watching violence
on such a violent day.
Right. Maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe it's the fact that he fucking sucks. Probably a little bit of both. But the funny part was, and I saw this on George Takei's Instagram, and I was like, ooh, this looks fun. What's this? So he posts a link to Donald Trump Jr.'s tweet, and the tweet reads, "The biggest fight of the year this Saturday. My dad, President Trump, and I are commentating, and we're going to have some fun. I'm finally pushing him on the burning question. Are aliens real? And what's up with Area 51? Shoot me some other questions here. Text alien to blah, blah, blah." And people the internet just roasted him. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. I thought that was George Takei making fun of him.
No. That's Donald Trump's tweet.
Thank
Donald
God,
Trump Jr.'s tweet
to
the world.
That is awesome.
Yeah, right? So let me read you
idiot.
George Takei. Where George Takei comes in is he has compiled some of the best replies to that tweet, some of which I shall read you now. Somebody named Grudgy the Whale says, "Is he going to advise the dude who gets knocked out to call the fight rigged?" And somebody responds to him, Reality Check responds to him, "You've got it wrong. You have to call the fight result rigged way before the match. That way your supporters can cry foul before they even get in the ring." And here's another one. Here we go. Somebody replies, "Good idea. Trump is well known for his eloquence and on-the-fly speeches." Red replies, "It's the 20th anniversary of the worst terrorist attack on American soil. So, of course, the worst president in the history of our country is going to be talking about boxing and aliens. You two are scumbags."
Oh, that's amazing.
This guy, Robert Swartwood,
Right.
is replying, and he says, quote, "You know, in many ways, this fight is rigged, just like the election was rigged. But I'm a fighter, and if it wasn't for all the election fraud, I would still be fighting for the American people," unquote. And then he attributes that to Donald Trump, probably. 5 minutes into whatever this is.
Right.
That one you kind of have to read. I don't know if
Right.
it really
I
is
was gonna
coming
say,
through.
So he's saying that that's what Trump would be saying 5
Yeah.
minutes into it, but not an actual quote.
Somebody else posts, "You're not paying your respects to the nearly 3,000 lives lost on 9/11, and then posts the Game of Thrones.
Shame.
Shame. GIF, that one's pretty
Yeah, that
good.
guy's a piece of shit.
Isn't he?
I mean, I'm not a huge... Well, I don't know if anybody's a huge 9/11 fan, but you know what, like, I don't like being sad, so it's not something I like to, like, focus on or whatever. Like, definitely need to pay their respects. But now that you're able to readily read a lot of, like, the black box stuff and, like, people's voicemail transcripts and things, like, I spent a good portion of the day sitting on the couch crying, reading that stuff, going, why am I doing this to myself? Mm-hmm. But, like, again, because people have empathy for other people who had to die for something so needlessly, and here Trump is a boxing match. Like, it's just...
Doing an Ask Me Anything.
Right.
This guy, Michael, I Have a Nickel on Twitter, he's like, ooh, ask him about his taxes. And then the last one is Michael Smith says, "Will he attempt to rewrite history and tell us about his bravery on 9/11 before or during the fight?" Right. Oh, that's right. He was saying that he was like right there at ground zero, and he was brave. And
no, he was on a radio talk show saying, "Well, I guess my tower is now the tallest one." Verbatim, that's what he fucking said.
What a douchebag. Anyways, that was funny. And I had another funny thing that I wanted to share with you in case you hadn't heard already. There is a new rally being planned by the QAnon people called the Justice for January 6th rally. I know.
Oh my God, will these people not give up?
Well, here, it gets even better than that. So, the insurrection crew, the people who are basically trying to get the MAGA terrorists to attack the U.S. Capitol, again, on September 18th is the day of this new rally, the new Justice for January 6th rally. They're actually in the news now for being foiled by their own conspiracy theory. Because...
Go on.
It's like Inception for conspiracy theorists. I'm reading this on Political Junkyard on Instagram. They're conspiracy theorizing their way out of their own rally. And it's basically, it says, conspiracy theorists now believe their own Justice for January 6th rally is a setup by the government. I'm going to read this a little bit because I can't quite paraphrase it. And I can't see what publication. It looks like Politico, maybe. But it says, "It's pretty well accepted that the conspiracy theorists are largely paranoid people, but the latest conspiracy that's making the rounds is a stretch, even for them. This Saturday, the far right will congregate for the first Justice for J6 rally." Justice for J6. The event, which is expected to call former President Donald Trump supporters to action after their botched seize of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, is spearheaded by Matt Braynard, who previously worked as a Trump campaign operative. Despite the fact that the rally was created, sponsored, and endorsed by the most extreme members of the far right, conspiracy theorists are suggesting that the event is a secret government plot to arrest more people involved with the earlier Capitol attack. So these people are in like Facebook groups, 4chan. There's a Facebook group called The Donald, in case anyone's interested in that. There's not a single shred of evidence, obviously, that the federal government has organized this event, although it would be fucking funny if they had.
Right. I think, they have all your information already, people. Like,
yeah. And this guy, Matt Braynard, who's spearheaded the whole thing, he's like, no, it's not a conspiracy theory. You guys have to show up. No one's going to show up to our rally.
That's exactly what a government official would be saying.
Exactly. Anyways, I thought that was fucking
So it
hilarious.
just reminded me of a story that I actually heard today. So one of my, not my clients, but somebody in the salon was telling this, that her husband, and her daughter were in Las Vegas recently. So they're standing by the Mandalay Bay, and they saw these, she's like, I had to piece everything together. I was so confused. So her husband's much older than she is, and they have a child together who's like maybe 15, something like that. Or no, she's just turning 13. Anyway, so they're in Vegas, and I guess they see it. Well, I'll start by saying this. So the dad puts his arm around his daughter, right? Whatever. They're just walking, and she's like, I saw people rubbernecking, and I didn't really think about it, but people were, and I just thought that maybe, people were just looking. I don't know, like maybe they thought it was some old guy who's being a creep to a young girl or something, but doesn't matter. So we go and we're checking out of the hotel. We have a flight to go get. And all of a sudden this guy is in my face, and he would not let us leave. He's like, no, human trafficking. You're human trafficking that little girl. Like, we have flights. Like, we have to go. This is my daughter, and this is my husband, and that's her father. Like, who the fuck are you, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And, like, they detained them. And then the hotel security detained them, too. And, like, what the fuck is going on? She's like, luckily we all had our passports. So it's like, we all have the same name. She's like, we were there for a while, and I had to talk to the head of security. And when the head of security finally came down, she's like, what the fuck is going on? She's like, she saw the resemblance, whatever. She's like, we barely made our flight. And I'm like, holy shit. And she's like, and I realized there was these signs around saying Q-tips. Q-tips. So there's QAnon people just hanging out in hotel lobbies, and we just had a bad feeling about you and got you detained by, right? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I was like, the first thing I would have done was I would have called the police and said, false imprisonment. Like, you can't fucking tell, like, who the fuck are you? Also, this is my family. Like, are you fucking crazy?
Right.
Anyways, I was livid for her. She was shaking telling the story, and I'm just like, that's fucked up. She's like, they comped all of our nights that we'd stayed there for 5 nights. I was like, no. They have a fucking lawsuit on their hands. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh yeah, their security was completely overrun by these people. And they tried telling us, oh, they're just guests here. It's like, they're not fucking guests here. Like, oh, it's so fucked up.
Damn.
And she's like, and my husband, he doesn't get involved in shit. He doesn't voice his opinion very often. But he even told the security, like, the main guy that was in this girl's face, because he was just so venomous about it too. It was like, oh, you blow, yeah, whatever. He's like, you might want to look into him for pet, human trafficking and pedophile, because it's always the people who are the loudest,
right,
to trying to deflect off of them for the shit that they do. And I said, oh my God, I was thinking, I'm not even a part of this story, and I'm thinking the same fucking thing. And I'm just like, God, what is wrong with these people? So when we go to Las Vegas, keep our eyes open for that kind of shit. Because,
everybody in the world, you guys, keep your eyes open for signs that say Q-tips.
Right. And then the other girl, so the stylist that was doing this girl's hair, she told me that story like a couple weeks ago. And so when I was in Las Vegas, more recently, I looked for those Q-tip signs, and they were already taken out. So the hotel was like, fuck, we're gonna get fucking sued. Mm-hmm. This cannot happen. Mm-hmm. Like, because again, for these people who are just sitting around waiting for this shit to happen that's not fucking happening. I'm sorry, human trafficking happens, but you're not gonna fucking see it, right? Unfortunately, that's not something, or else it would be taken care of by actual authorities. Right. Like, so these people are taking it upon themselves. They just see somebody who's older put his arm around a young girl, and then all of a sudden, oh, we got it! We've got one! Like, you can just imagine, like, the hysteria that they, within their own group, that they had created, thinking mm-hmm. that they caught somebody, when it's like, this is my daughter, you asshole.
It's like the fucking pizza parlor all over again.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Is it Comet?
Comet Pizza.
Comet Pizza.
To go in the basement that doesn't fucking exist.
Right.
So it's just like, that's fucking terrifying. And again, one wrong thing, in Las Vegas, can you have concealed permits there? Like, you just have to have the wrong person with the wrong fucking crowd with the wrong thing, and somebody gets shot.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, it doesn't matter if you
No, it doesn't, because these idiots are going to have it anyways.
Yeah. I mean, look at that thing that happened a few years back when our sister was there with the gunman that opened fire on that concert.
Right.
And killed a bunch of people.
Right.
Fucking nutballs.
Right. So yeah, keep your eye. If you see any kind of Q-tip sign or whatever, I would just immediately call the cops and be like, you've got vigilantes
acting fucking crazy and being dangerous.
Because even though that group might not be, their whole organization is fucking dangerous.
Oh.
But anyways, yeah, so I just heard that story today.
I'm going to marinate on that for a minute while we hear a word from our sponsors.
Great idea. Welcome back, people. Wasn't that delightful?
Should we tell some stories?
Yeah. Now, what kind of stories are we telling this week?
Well, I thought it might be fun to tell some old Logan stories, some old high school Logan stories. You weren't really there for any of this, so I thought that maybe you might like to learn what I did when I was a teenager.
Ooh, go on.
Actually, it wasn't just me, it was most of the kids in the town. No, it was a tenth of the kids in the town who didn't go to church.
Fair.
What we did, we all partook in this activity. It's called dragging Maine. What you would do is you would pile all your friends into a car. You would start at Main and Center, over by the Tabernacle, kind of near the Utah Theater. It used to be a gas station right there where we would always play Street Fighter and buy menthol light 100s for $1.25 a pack.
Nice.
And we would smoke our generic menthol light 100s and watch my friend Rob play Street Fighter for hours. And then we would all get in the car and we would drag Maine, which involves driving down Main Street down to about 1400 North, down by the mall, the Hall, as you might know it called. And then you would turn around and go back.
Intriguing.
And then you would turn around and do it again. You would just drive in circles up and down Main Street all night long, over and over again.
Kind of like the movie American Graffiti.
Kind of.
Only less cool.
I think about Dazed and Confused a little bit too, because, obviously you're getting stoned, drinking. Right. We would often make stops. I've mentioned this before on the podcast. Me and my little group of friends were entrepreneurs.
Yes. And
we provided a good, I was going to try to say goods and services. It was just a goods. We were selling acid, basically. Right. I was also 15 at the time, so I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations is up and I can't go to jail for this anymore.
You were a minor, so...
Definitely a minor. But we would stop at the Tabernacle and we would all get out and pile out and sit on the grass and, we're high, hanging out, whatever, I remember just like pushing your fingers into the grass and kind of falling into this like Alice in Wonderland world of dewy, grassy, starry amazingness.
You sound like an after-school special.
and then you would kind of pop up and look and you'd see that where the car was parked, which was right on the side of the road in front of the Tabernacle, there'd be like a line of 10 people waiting to get up to the window of that car, and you're like, we're going to get in trouble. This is pretty obvious what's happening right here. Oh, well. And lay back down. In fact, I have this one specific memory. I was sitting with, I think it was Mindy and Melissa and maybe Dorcas. We had a bunch of acid out, and I went to go put the acid in somebody's mouth, and it slipped out of my hand into the grass, and all of us were like frantically looking for it, and the grass was a little damp.
Right.
Like, this acid was gone. There was no way that there was anything left on that. We were just frantically like crackheads looking through a carpet, looking for these 2 hits of acid. No, didn't find them, whatever. And then
some child found it later.
Well, actually, no, we did. I was going to save it to the end of the story, but we did actually find it. We went back cruising, dragging Maine for a few more hours, came back and sat down again to start the whole process over again. And I sat down and put my hands in the grass, and I was like, oh, it's some acid. Put it in my mouth. But yeah, that was what we did for fun. Okay, so I have one really exciting story that happened while we were dragging Maine. It's a Friday night. There's a van full of like me and all my friends, and we're driving down Main Street pretty close to the old JB's restaurant, and I don't realize what's happening at the time, but all of a sudden there's cop lights behind us. The van's getting pulled over. 6 cops surround the car, and they're like, get the fuck out of the car. Well, they probably didn't say fuck because they were...
Get the heck out of the car.
Yeah, they were Utah Logan cops. Like, get out on the ground. I had a gun pointed at my head. All of us were like freaking out, like hands on the ground, heads, faces on the ground. And apparently one of the guys in the car had put a pipe or something out the window, so they thought it was a gun, or at least they said they thought it was a gun.
Fucking stupid.
Right? And one of the guys, Chopper, had to go to jail that night.
Oh no! What? Yeah. He was high, or?
Well, here's the funny part of that story. I don't remember, because it turns out that story didn't actually happen to me. It happened to our sister Tiffany, and I've gone so many years thinking that was my story. I had it written on the notes of like possible story ideas for the podcast, and then we were recording with her the other day, and she's like, "That's my fucking story," and I was like, "How is that possible?" Right. And I've heard so many, like all of us siblings have had so many of those same encounters over the years. Like, you remember?
I remember laying out on the trampoline and seeing UFOs, like something like. Although to be fair, I think the UFO thing happens enough that I could very well have my own memory of it too. But whenever I tell it, Tiffany's like, "Nope, that was my story." But like I was laying there and I saw, it was 1 star and then it went off into like 4 stars and did this weird shit and then went back into 1 and then continued to keep going. Like it looks like a satellite going like that, but then all of a sudden it went all fucking weird.
Yeah.
And I was not high on drugs. I was like 7, or like maybe 11. But
then that turned out to be Tiffany's story?
But Tiffany's like, "Nope, that's my story." And again, it could have been, but again, there's a lot of UFO shit that happens out in Utah, so I wouldn't be surprised. But, I mean, our sister Laurie, this shit happens all the time where she'll tell a story. But again, we tell each other the same stories over and over again. And like, because they'll hear us tell somebody else new, and then all of a sudden it becomes our memory.
Right.
Right?
I was actually trying to do a little research, and the research is pretty dry and boring, but having a false memory with siblings like that is actually super fucking common.
Is it?
And there's something that happens in your brain when you sleep that puts memories in a different part of your brain or something like that. And but especially when you have siblings.
Well, so I looked up false memories because I was curious about it too. We're like, well, maybe we'll talk about this a little bit. And what I came up with was some bullet points, so it's not too dry, but it's just like, a false memory is a recollection that seems real in your mind, but is fabricated in part or in whole. Most false memories aren't malicious or even intentionally hurtful. They're shifts or reconstructions of memories that don't align with true events. So the aspects of that is false memories can have life-altering and even fatal consequences. False memories have also led to false accusations, false convictions for various crimes, including sexual abuse. Because again, if somebody puts a memory in there and you say it enough times, you start believing it. Kind of like when Trump says a lie enough times and you want to believe it because you want to be this Tea Party fucking woe is me bullshit, then you actually start believing it. So you can't argue with somebody who actually believes the bullshit that they spew.
I found this other article that was kind of more like what I was thinking about, or basically that suited my curiosity about it, just because it was more like of us siblings sharing memories, you know what I mean? And I found this article in the Independent, and it was basically like, the whole tone of the article is how siblings hate each other because they're fighting for their parents' attention. And I was like, oh, that's funny at the beginning. And then it goes on, and it's like studies with twins and studies with siblings. And it's like, it's obvious that this sibling would take this other sibling's memory because they're directly competing for the parental attention. And I was like, this has nothing to fucking do with my life at all.
Right. Like, I don't think any of us vie for our parents' attention.
No.
Like, at all. I don't know about when we were younger, but...
No, well, maybe real young, but yeah, we still, like, all, if we got all of us in a room together, we would all have similar stories that were like, wait, I thought that was my story. No, I thought that was my story. But this one with the getting pulled over on Main Street, I legit thought that was my story, which is so weird. That's a pretty intense memory, right? To have a cop point a gun at your head.
100%. I've never had a gun pointed at me.
Yeah. Well, apparently I haven't either. But Tiffany has. Oh, that was so fucked up.
It's totally fucked up.
But anyways, that's what we did in Logan for fun. We would cruise around up and down Main Street, just to kind of close the loop, the circle on that, because I know a lot of people listening to this podcast spent a lot of hours of their youth doing the exact same fucking thing, and then we would stop for coffee at JB's, or we would get French fries at Central Park, or we would drop acid on the lawn of the Tabernacle. Not everyone dropped acid, but a lot of us did. But I wanted to share my favorite hiding spot for LSD. In case anybody's still doing the LSD and you need a great hiding spot for it, you take a tampon apart. You wrap your sheet of LSD around the cotton, put it back in the applicator, put it back in the bag, and put the partially opened applicator tampon in a box of tampons and put it in your bag. There's no cop in history that's ever going to go through and open all your tampons in your bag.
Well, now they will. Spoiler.
Especially if you're a teenage girl.
Why are you doing that, mister? That's pretty fucking smart.
I know. I'm a genius.
Until you forget which one it's at. You need a tampon, you put it in, and now you've just mainlined so much acid into your body.
My God, could you imagine?
No, I cannot.
You die.
Well, you can't die from acid, but
well,
you'd be real fucking high for a long time.
What I actually did was I would take a little piece of chewed gum and then squish it back together, squish the opened end back together, so you could always see which one it was if you were looking.
Right.
But I never thought about shoving a sheet of acid up my vagina accidentally. And
just saying, anything could happen. What if you're already high on acid and you're like, oh my God, I need to go use a tampon? Then you're real fucked.
Here's one.
And you're yeah. So that's fun. We did that. My friend Chris, he had the car. And we would try to hotbox it, we didn't actually drive so much, but what we did was we just hung out at Natalia's Coffee all night long. Because it was every weekend. We'd show up around, like once the sun went down, we'd hang out, we'd smoke cigarettes all day. We got our Marlboro Reds for $2.50. My friend Josh would usually steal a carton. And then if we were lucky, he'd steal some vodka too, and we could get drunk. But most times we were just sober and just sit around.
What was his secret for stealing the cigarettes?
I don't know. He'd get a carton from Walmart. This is where he'd also probably get the vodka too. But I know we got not pulled over because we were just sitting in front of, I think it was at the time a vacant building, but it's Wahoo Fish Tacos now. But we were just sitting out there, and I don't know if he was getting busted for stealing the cigarettes, but he had just stolen the cigarettes and he had just given me a pack, right? And I was like, thanks, Josh, or whatever. So it's in my pocket and we're smoking. No, the cop was just giving a shit for smoking and being clearly like 13-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, you have a cigarette? And I wasn't smoking. Nicole had been smoking. So they found Nicole's cigarettes in her backpack. They hadn't gotten to me yet. They were like searching us one by one in a row, which is so stupid because that gave me plenty of time to then take my cigarettes out of my pocket. So I wore one of those like mechanic jackets, right? Like said Al right here, I think. And so I took it out of my pocket and I just put it up my sleeve. So like with my hand, I palmed the cigarettes and then pushed them up my sleeve. And I think I was able to put it in the band of my watch. And so I went like that. They were able to search me. I didn't have a backpack, and I'm like, dude, I don't have anything. I'm not even smoking, because I wasn't smoking when they came up. I'm like, okay, you're fine. But meanwhile, I'm like, okay, sweet, I can put my cigarettes back in my pocket. They never gave us tickets for anything. And if you were a girl, you notoriously never got a ticket, really, for anything. The guys would get tickets all the time, but...
You know how I used to steal smokes? Another genius tip from Teenage Mandy. So you would go into Albertsons in Logan. You would go in there and you would pick up 2 packs of cigarettes, just, with one-handed 2 packs, so it kind of looked like you just picked up 1 pack. Then you would go back to the tampons and the feminine hygiene products, and you would put, you'd be looking at them, and then you'd just drop 1 pack behind there.
Right.
Still keep the other pack in your hand, looking at some tampons, and then you'd really obviously have the pack of cigarettes in your hand showing, because immediately when you walked in the door, they're watching you.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially in Logan.
Right.
And so then you'd be like, no, I don't want these tampons. So obviously still have that pack of cigarettes in your hand, and then go back to the front, make eye contact with the person who's following you, and smile, hi, and then watch them watch you put the cigarettes back where they belong, let go, and walk out. Meanwhile, your friend comes in. They go to the tampons, and they pick up the pack of cigarettes behind the tampons, put it just like you did, palm it right up the sleeve. Nobody even knows it's back there.
Right.
Free smokes for days.
Nice. Smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Josh wore a black trench coat, and I don't know if he just grabbed it, put it in the trench coat, and walked out, and how an alarm didn't go off, I don't know. But that man stole cartons all the time.
It's funny, my job now largely consists of stopping people from shoplifting from my place of employment.
You're an expert at it.
I am an expert. It's like, you can't fucking pull one over on me because
right?
I invented all these tricks, motherfucker.
Well, we did that. Same friend Josh, we would go to Disneyland. And I'm not big on shoplifting myself, but like I was like the gothic girl in the black hair and the, clearly watch me for shoplifting because I'm a bad child kind of a thing. And I'd look at things and I was very obvious. Well, my friend Josh went and stole everything. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the whole, oh, look at me.
Diversionary
yeah,
tactic.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't pull that shit on me these days.
No,
I know you. I know you're the decoy.
Right. Oh, this is all too obvious.
I especially love it when it's teenage girls because most of the people who steal are like, it's professional crime rings. It's like people who come in, they're like, I need these wines. These are the ones that are going to sell. They go into CVS, they steal medication.
Oh, dang.
Actually, this is probably a topic for a whole nother podcast because Amazon is the largest fence in the world for stolen shit from retail establishments.
Really?
But that's something we could talk about at another time.
Sounds good.
But yeah, so the people who come in are generally always professionals, and they're in and out, and it's kind of hard to catch them. And the law in at least the last 2 states that I've worked in has not been on retailer's side.
Okay.
It's really difficult to prosecute a shoplifter. But when the kids come in, when the teenage girls come in, and you just look at them and you're like, oh, you think you're so smart. Right. You think you're the shit, little girl. I used to be you.
So there was a time, my good friend Heather, growing up in Mission Viejo, I don't know, she was a bad influence on me. Like, who knows the person I would be had I not been friends with Heather. She taught me how to curse. She showed me my first porno. She broke me. But she also taught me how to shoplift. Not that you can teach someone how to shoplift.
No, you can. There's tricks.
Okay, but she wasn't very good at it. But we would just go steal. Like, I remember we'd go steal candy from Ralph's just to throw it in the street and watch cars run over it. Because we were bored. Like, there was nothing to do. But I do remember I needed to have my 900 pictures of Edward Furlong from Terminator 2. So I would go into Ralph's, and I'm not going to say the only reason you should ever wear overalls, but if you're going to wear, like, overalls, this is, a good reason. And I would go pick out all the Teen Bops, all the Tiger Beat, all the fucking whatever else that shit was, and I would, look through them for a while, and they'd get bored watching us just reading the magazines, and then I would take that stack and I'd just put it right down my overalls. Because they're not going to fall out my pants.
Yeah.
They're going to be just stuck there, and I'd walk right out. And we did this all the time. Like, they had to know.
I just took the centerfolds out and left the magazine.
No, I took the whole fucking thing. I was like, taking you. I'm going to cut out every picture of Edward Furlong and tape him to my wall.
How many years was Edward Furlong? Mine was the Coreys.
Oh, nice. I'm going to say, who was it? And then it was, once I got older, it was Kurt Cobain, and...
Yeah, but you didn't steal his Tiger Beat. He wasn't
No, he was not in it. I actually had to pay for these things or go onto because now the internet was readily available. I could just print out pictures of him. But yeah, I did go into a Long's Drugs once. They are now all CVS's or Rite Aids. But I went into Long's and I was stealing. I might have even told the story before, and I don't remember. It's short. I was going through. We were trying on earrings, and we were pocketing everything. And I remember one of the things I took was like one of those like actor mask things. So it's like the yin and yang, but it was like
comedy and drama.
Yeah, like that was a pin. I think I was gonna steal it for Mom. Like I'm like, oh, I'll give this to Mom or something. Like it was a present. Anyways, somebody comes up who works there is like, excuse me, can you guys please not steal from us? And I'm like, what do you want to check me? You can check me. I'm not stealing anything. God, how dare you? I'm leaving. And I left with all my stuff that I stole. And, no, I took it all. And I was like, I'm out of here. And then I was like, shit, what if they send the cops? And then I threw it all in the trash. And then I thought it would be a smart idea to then go to Mom and be like, Mom, you'll never believe what just happened. They tried to accuse me, your precious angel, of stealing. Like I would. She's like, oh, they accused me stealing once, too. And I was like, they did? She's like, a Sonicare toothbrush. And I was like, were you? She's like, yes. I did try to steal a Sonicare toothbrush and she got busted.
This is all making so much sense now.
But I still said that. I was like, no, not me. I never stole. I do like that is my go-to lie, though. If I think I'm going to get busted for something, I will go straight to it and spin it a different way so that if somebody, for whatever reason, it comes back to me like, oh, I already told you the truth. And you heard it from me first, so I win.
Oh, you know what? Actually, this is a funny story that's kind of relevant, too. we were obviously, like, as teenagers, we went on a huge rampage of shoplifting, and I stole a ton of shit. We've talked about it before on the podcast. But there was one time when we were at JCPenney at the mall, the Hall in Logan, and it was me and Amy and I want to say Julie. Anyways, it was 3 girls, and we were, you know, just actually not stealing shit. We were just walking around, like, looking at clothes and stuff, and they had 3 workers and a security with a badge stop us and take us all into a little room and accuse us of stealing swimsuits. And we didn't. I don't think we tried on swimsuits. That's the best
is when you get busted for shit you didn't do. You're like, oh, that's hilarious. If you caught me last week, you would have found something.
Exactly. But oh my god, and it was 3 girls. I mean, we were 15, 14.
Right.
Accusing us of stealing swimsuits, and like my friend Amy's like, do you wanna see? And starts taking her shirt off, taking her clothes off. She's in her bra, and the guy's like, put your clothes back on. She's like, I'm not wearing your swimsuits. You know what I mean?
Right.
And after that, they had like just get the fuck out of here, just let us go. But we legit did not have anything at that time. But I'll never forget that. She's like taking her shirt off.
Who did that?
Amy. Yeah. She's like, oh, this is gonna be good.
I would do that too, and then I would accuse them of making me take my clothes off to show them, and you'd lose your fucking job.
Yeah, they were like, we know you're wearing the swimsuits under your clothes, and she was like, oh yeah? And she took it all off. Put your clothes back on. Put your clothes back on. It was glorious.
That's pretty fucking rad. I love when you can think on your feet like that, because sometimes it's hard. So, like, going back to my friend who was telling the story about being the Q-tip bullshit, she's like, I didn't even think about the false imprisonment thing. Like, I didn't have time to think. I was so upset. And I'm just like, fuck. Because it's true. When you're in it, like, you can think of shit later, but when you're in it to think of those things. So, I probably would have been like, I should have taken my clothes off. You know?
Yep. Totally. You know, I think that's it. Let's talk about a way to be excellent to each other.
You know,
let's just remember that conservatives for the past 100 years have thought it's completely 100% acceptable and constitutional to require vaccines, right? George Washington mandated that the country get vaccinated for smallpox. The Supreme Court has upheld the fact that it's constitutional for over 100 years.
So just get the goddamn shot.
We get vaccinated we are mandated to get vaccinated to go to school for the measles, for mumps, for rubella, for hepatitis B, for tetanus. What do you think a fucking tetanus shot is?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Polio, diphtheria, chickenpox. Y'all got vaccinated for that shit.
Right. Stop being such a vagina sailor.
Just...
Oh, wait, hold on. We're not saying that anymore.
Stop being such a little
Trumper.
Baby Trumper. Stop being so QAnon. Dry your salty tears and get your fucking vaccine.
Amen.
And also, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We're on all the social media.
Twitter,
Facebook,
Instagram,
LinkedIn.
We are on LinkedIn. Thanks, Mandy.
Pinterest. Hey, check out our website.
Yeah, fegbadmormons.com.
We also have a professional merch site on TeePublic. You can find the link to that in our link tree, which is in all of our social medias.
Like, subscribe on YouTube. You know, it helps people find us. It boosts our algorithm.
We need our algo boosted, motherfuckers.
Yeah, become a patron. Come on, join the inner circle.
If you haven't done it already, you really need to jump in there. It's a lot of fun. And we hope you had fun and learned lots of shoplifting tips and tricks from our little DIY podcast.